That was perfect.
I hope so.
The secret is, Philip, that it couldn't possibly fucking matter less. But Mike, in his mind, he can't imagine how insignificant these distinctions could possibly be.
I have seen him neatly arrange things on desks to a millimeter.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Our Hero De Niro, the only podcast that is watching and recapping Robert De Niro's entire filmography in random order. I'm Mike, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Mike.
No relation.
And today we are here to analyze... that's not right. We're not here to analyze. We're here to discuss. And today we're here to discuss the 1999 American crime comedy film Analyze This, directed by Harold Ramis and starring Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro. And we couldn't do it without a very special guest, so we're going to introduce a friend of the podcast, a friend IRL, and a practicing therapist. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Philip, a.k.a. Lips. Philip, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Mike and Mike, for having me. I am very excited to analyze this movie.
Yeah, that was perfect. Just sort of teed you right up for that. So, Philip, how are you feeling coming into the podcast? I know you're a longtime listener and letter contributor.
I'm excited. I've had, 50, however many episodes to get all worked up about this, and excited that at long last my number got rolled.
Have either of you guys seen this film before we watched it for the podcast?
I have not.
I went in assuming that I had not, and then it all felt very familiar, and it turns out that I had.
Yeah, for context, I think I'm certainly familiar with this film and its sequel, Analyze That. For context, it's a 1999 film that came out just a few months after the pilot of The Sopranos, which deals with a very similar idea. The movie Analyze This has to do with a crisis-stricken mafioso played by De Niro who solicits the assistance of a reluctant psychiatrist played by Billy Crystal. Obviously very similar to the inciting idea for the Sopranos HBO series. The only other thing I'll add is that this film also had a pretty good financial reception, grossing $177 million worldwide and received positive reviews. Mike, you're arching your eyebrows. You want to say something?
I think you would just say like financial or box office performance.
Box office. That's what I was thinking.
You just pivot
of.
from the word reception.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yep.
Are you guys ready to get into this film?
Absolutely.
Never been wetter.
I get to lead the recap today, so feel free to jump in whenever you think you have something interesting or funny to say. And we begin the movie with opening De Niro narration about mobsters. And he basically describes the events of the climax of the 2025 Barry Levinson film, The Alto Nights, talking about this like giant mobster meeting that occurred in upstate New York where the federales basically ID'd all of these mobsters. Fortunately, De Niro's dad, who was a big mobster back in the day, managed to escape. We get our De Niro face reveal nice and early at 3 minutes and 44 seconds because he's one of the co-leads of the film, which is so refreshing to see in this podcast.
Really is.
And he's talking to his is it consigliere? Is that how you pronounce it?
Conciliary.
Conciliary. Fantastic. Glad I asked. He's talking to this older guy who's his conciliary at this, mob bar or whatever. And they're about to leave the restaurant when a drive-by shooting occurs. De Niro manages to hide behind the bar and not be noticed when they peek inside because everyone else is dead. But it was an assassination attempt on his life. We cut to Billy Crystal. Well, actually, we cut to Molly Shannon crying and talking to Billy Crystal. He plays Dr. Ben Sobel, who is a therapist in private practice, works out of his home, has a really nice therapy office, very classy stuff. He's wearing a shirt and tie. Philip, do you wear a tie when you practice therapy?
I do not wear a tie. I feel like it would be possibly too intimidating, not homey enough, too doctor looking.
That's true. Philip does try to be the client's homie.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But, we can see that Billy Crystal is disillusioned with his life as a therapist. He has this fantasy where he just yells in Molly Shannon's face, telling her to get over her problems, her boring problems.
I have my first topic here.
Oh, sure.
Philip, you ever feel that way?
Not very often.
Okay, but it does happen sometimes. It must, right? Like
happen.
You're having the same discussion with a client for the fifth time that you've talked to them about, 4 times prior, and it's like it must start to feel like kind of like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, what is the point of this?
Yes, but it's usually a sign that things need to be explored in a different way. Okay. That I'm trying to force through some conventional way of doing it that's not working, and it's probably a sign that I need to explore it in a different way.
Okay, yeah, that's good. It sounds like you're a better therapist than Billy Crystal at the beginning of this film. So,
I mean, Billy Crystal, he's an older guy. I think he's in his early 50s when this movie takes place. You know, he's been at it for a while. He's a psychiatrist. Maybe he's a little burned out. He does tell Molly Shannon that he's going to go on vacation for a week down to Florida. So I think that'll be good for him, a little R&R. Meanwhile, we cut back to De Niro and his goons. They're interrogating some guy in a warehouse trying to identify the assassin or who the assassin's working for, but they don't really get anywhere at that point. We cut back to Billy Crystal. It's nighttime, and he is stuck in New York City traffic with his son, Michael, and they're on the way to Billy Crystal's dad's Christmas party. You can tell that Billy Crystal's really... He's anxious about this party. I think he feels intimidated about his father, who's like a more successful psychiatrist than he was. He has like a book coming out. I don't know, whatever. And in his distraction, he rear ends the car in front of him. The trunk pops open, and Billy Crystal is too distracted to see that there is a human body, a live human in the trunk of this car with like a sack over his head or whatever. So Crystal gets out of the car and he wants to exchange insurance information with the guys who are driving the car. But they get out. They're mobsters, of course. They're actually De Niro's mobsters. And they talk him down. But Crystal gives them his business card anyways, just in case they change their minds. We get a comical kind of like view of the passenger in the car duct taping the trunk to make sure it doesn't open again.
I got a question for you guys here.
Oh, sure.
It's for Philip first. Philip.
Yes.
Did you laugh at all during this movie?
No, and I think I'll get into that. But it's not for lack of amusement. It was an amusing film.
He's more bemused than amused. What about you, Mike? Did you laugh at all during this film?
Yeah, we watched it together. I did laugh.
Yeah, I'm asking for the podcast. I know that you laughed. I remember.
Well, I remember that at this specific point in the film, this is when Mike turns to me and sincerely asks, "This is a comedy, right?" It's like, yeah, man, what did you think it was? Everything about it was so comical. The tone was so light.
That might just be bad.
Well, whether or not it's bad will, come down to our final ratings.
No, but
later.
what I mean is, like, in the first 10 minutes of a bad mob film, it could be indistinguishable from comedy if it's just not being done well. Like, yeah, I think so. The subject matter is very typical mob movie.
Yeah, I just think it was pretty clearly conveyed by the tone, the music, the presentation that it was a comedy. But to each their own, I guess.
Anyway, I laughed a lot during this movie. This was my first laugh. It's what made me ask Mike the question. I found the visual of the duct taping really funny.
It was. I think it was a good visual comedy.
I love that shit.
So at the party, Billy Crystal's talking and reveals that he's getting married after 8 years of being single, but his dad is going to skip the wedding to do some book signings for his upcoming book, which feels like a real dick move to me. I'm pretty sure if you're the author, you can just like skip 2 days in your book tour. Maybe push those dates off. The dad says something about how if you don't go to the book signing, they'll relegate your book to the bottom shelf. And I have some responses to that. Number one, what? It's just a couple bookstores. Yeah. Like even if that is going to be the consequence, how little regard do you have for your child and your relationship with your child for less favorable merchandising at 2 stores, assuming of hundreds that your book will be merchandised at is more important to you than attending his wedding. So that's thought number one. Thought number two is I think you probably just go on, whatever the late 90s equivalent of Craigslist was, like I guess like newspaper ads, and you just pay somebody $50 to go into the store and move the books to a higher shelf. Like, this is not complicated. So there you go. Those are my thoughts about this.
I'm interested in this topic in particular because what it brings up as the movie goes along is Billy Crystal's character having his own sort of father issues, as De Niro's character does as well. And I've been thinking lately about a niche of therapy that I don't know if it specifically exists, but that really interests me, and that's son of big man therapy. People who are in that position where they have the giant of a father who they will never measure up to because you're as a boy, you're born looking up to your father. And so he'll always be larger than you. But when like everyone in the community says that he's larger, that he's the best mobster, that he's the greatest psychiatrist, it creates that complex where you know that no matter what you do, you will never be as big as the idea of him in your mind. And it's a fascinating topic I've been able to explore a little bit with clients, and it's very interesting to me.
That is a really interesting topic. Really well said. I think that my thought about that and my question to you is, if you really think about it, does in this mode, does the actual objective stature of the father really matter? Because I think it's an holier than thou attitude and emotional estrangement that I think creates the unpleasantness for the child in this situation. And I think that, I don't know. I mean, I think all children grow up thinking of their father as God. And I think that whether as an adult, it is still a big deal to you if your dad has achieved more than you in your life, comes more down to the kind of person your father is and how he chooses to relate to you and make you feel big or small than it really does to do with his actual objective stature, right? Because to this discussion, it's like if Billy Crystal's dad demonstrated that he loved him and thought highly of him in spite of their divergent stature, if he went to his wedding, I don't think it would really matter. You'd probably just be really happy for your dad that they were such a big shot. It's the estrangement and the distance emotionally that I think exacerbates those achievement gaps. There's a lot of bad fathers out there.
Absolutely. When it isn't overtly said or demonstrated in some way that like, yeah, sure, I'm big and successful and all that, but you doing that as well in my specific field or my level, it matters. If that doesn't happen, then I think often what occurs is these big men are so busy being big in their field that they're of course not doing a lot of parenting, and the boy in the big shoes trying to fill them is just left feeling that if I achieve, then he'll acknowledge me, and that's what I need to do because that's the only example that I see of what to do.
I agree. Yeah. Really well said. I do think this is a really important theme in the film, so I'm glad that we're kind of laying it out early. And there's going to be a lot to talk about as it relates to father-son relationships and the context that they paint for the kind of adult characters in this film that we'll get up to more as we get on.
De Niro and two other mobsters are having a meeting, and De Niro has a panic attack. He goes to the hospital, and a doctor played by Asif Mandi, haven't seen him in a while, tells him it's a panic attack and gives him a Xanax prescription. But De Niro does not accept this. He's not happy about it. He says, no, I got a heart attack, which I think would be a lot worse, but, fragile masculinity. It was 1999 and all that. Him and his goons end up drawing the blinds in the hospital room and beating the doctor up. This is one of our protagonists, FYI. This is one of the guys we're rooting for. And then De Niro tells one of his goons in confidence, I believe his right-hand man, Jelly, that he wants help finding a psychiatrist. And hey, by pure coincidence, they happen to have the business card of one Dr. Billy Crystal.
Wow, isn't this just the luck?
Yeah, I mean, thank God, otherwise we wouldn't have a movie.
There was a great line in this that maybe I even did laugh out loud to, is when Jelly, who may be my favorite character in the movie, he says, "You having one of those mind grains?"
You don't remember for sure whether you laughed?
Well, how long ago did you watch this film? I was going to
ask. It was a good line. Mind grains was a funny line.
I ask in every comedy.
How long ago did you watch this film?
I watched it last night.
Okay.
It was 24 hours ago. He finished it 24 hours ago.
It was a funny line.
There were some funny lines in this comedy. I'll give it that.
I laughed a lot at this movie. It was one of my most uproarious films in terms of laughter so far in the pod. Top 5, I think.
Wow.
You were there.
I know. I was just saying wow to, keep it moving. So Crystal's in a session with some guy, and the goon from yesterday busts into the session and offers the client $300 to leave the session early. Question for you guys. I mean, that was $300 in 1999. Would you have left early for that money?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd like to say yes.
Yeah, why
but
wouldn't
I can
you?
be kind of stubborn, I can be kind of stubborn, but leaving is the right thing to do. So I'd like to think that I'd have been rational enough to do it.
Yeah, you don't want to get in between the big goon looking guy and Billy Crystal.
But even then, it's just like $300 in 1999 was probably close to $500 today. I would think it's like, what could you possibly be talking about that's more important than $500?
Exactly.
Like, that's a lot of money.
It's a PlayStation 5 right there.
Come back, right? Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So after the client leaves, De Niro makes his dramatic entrance, and basically Crystal already knows him by reputation. He's been in the news, stuff like that. And De Niro starts asking Billy Crystal questions about what talk therapy is like, saying that it's on behalf of a friend who needs therapy. But Crystal, obviously sees right through this and is able to deduce that it's De Niro who actually is interested in therapy. So Crystal recommends medication, but De Niro hand waves that pretty immediately, says that it's not for him, which I don't know, maybe he shouldn't have been so quick to do considering the importance of getting his head right. It's pretty time sensitive in the plot of this film. Crystal also recommends talk therapy, and that meeting ends. De Niro makes plans to call Billy Crystal, and I will say this is where the worst joke in the film was for me. De Niro threatens to kill Billy Crystal if Billy Crystal turns him gay. He uses different language than that.
That's not the words he uses, yeah.
Those are not the words he uses, but I was like, oh, wow, yep, that's 1999. You really...
Certainly was.
You could not and would not say that today.
That probably got the biggest laugh in the theater then.
I don't know. So it certainly didn't make me laugh, but I think you probably could say this in the movie today, actually. It's the kind of thing a mobster would say. It's a very retrograde culture. Like, I mean, I think that if this were a drama, like the mobster character could say that completely straight, it wouldn't be played for laughs. And I think you'd totally be able to say it. Like, those are the kinds of attitudes I think that a lot of people in that subculture have about sexuality and gender relations. But certainly didn't make me laugh.
Yeah, I guess I really don't know, because big budget comedies are kind of a dying breed.
There's a lot of casual homophobia in Grandpa's Dirty Grandpa 15 years after this. So
yeah, but that was almost a decade ago.
Yeah,
I don't think you could do that today.
I don't know. You should write into ourherodeniro.com and let us know if you think that Robert De Niro's character could be casually homophobic in a movie that came out in 2026, as he was in 1999's Analyze This.
Yeah, it's ourherodeniro@gmail.com, not ourherodeniro.com.
That's the website.
It's not even the website.
Did I say that?
Yes, that's what you said.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't even remember saying that.
So we're introduced to the character Primo Sidone. He is a wannabe big-time mobster played by Chaz Palminteri, and he's the one who put the hit out on Paul Vitti, which is Robert De Niro's character. Meanwhile, Crystal and his son Michael, they're loading their car, and Michael reveals that he can overhear Crystal's private confidential therapy sessions by putting his ear up to the air vent or whatever. So he's aware that Crystal had a meeting with Paul Vitti, the big-time mobster. And Crystal very wisely tells his son to keep that shit to himself. Holy shit. Like, never say that to anyone, because you will get us both fucking dropped.
Yeah. Seems like a HIPAA violation.
HIPAA violation number one. I didn't keep a running tally, but that was definitely the first one.
Yeah, it'd be a long list. So we make our way down to Miami, Florida, and we're introduced to Lisa Kudrow's character. She is a news anchor in Florida who is retiring from that life, or that job, I guess. It's her last broadcast, and she's going to move up to New York with her love interest. Hey, it turns out she's Billy Crystal's fiance. To which I have to say, one, good for Billy Crystal's character for bagging 90s Lisa Kudrow, and two, I really want to know how they met. How does a New York City-based psychiatrist meet a Miami, Florida news anchor? Even if he goes,
a good question.
Even if he goes down there for a convention or something that she happens to be covering for some reason, you really think they're having a little meet cute? I'm just curious is all. I just think there's like prequel potential there.
Yeah, I mean, there is a sequel, right?
Yeah.
Analyze that. I know nothing about it. Maybe they'll cover that in the sequel.
Yeah, I think they'll cover that in the sequel, the prequel material?
Maybe. Yeah.
Sure hope so. I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
With Lisa Kudrow's appearance in this film, obviously most famous for Friends fame. Now my question is, say all the circumstances are different and you find yourself as a bachelor living in New York City. Of Rachel, Monica, and Phoebe from Friends, which one do you see yourself most likely winding up with? Not which one are you most attracted to, who would you want, but like most likely woman you would be dating of those three.
Can I tell you something? I've never watched a single episode of Friends, and I could not describe a single quality of any of those characters. So I was pulling up a picture to tell you which one I'm most physically attracted to, because I can't picture any of them except for Sarah Jessica Parker. But if you're asking me to talk about like based on their personalities, I could not answer that question.
Yeah.
Well, she's
not in that show. Yeah, she's not in that show.
Oh, shit. What is the Friends ladies?
Jennifer
Friends
Aniston.
ladies. All right, who's this? Jennifer Aniston. That's right.
Who plays Rachel?
Yeah, there you go. I did just conflate those two shows, but I also haven't seen any episodes of Friends. So there you go. I don't know anything about it. What are the characters like?
Yeah, I also never watched Friends. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, so I know what they look like. And I mean, I'm looking at a picture of them right now too, and I could make a guess as to which one would be likeliest to end up dating me if like that was a given between one of the three of them. But I don't know anything about their personalities. So maybe you.
I'm sorry, Philip.
Maybe you would know the answer better than we would.
Yeah.
Who do you think we'd end up with?
So what do you think? Tell us which ones you think we'd be with and why. That's fine.
I have. I've seen a handful of episodes, enough to get the personalities.
Yes, three people who don't know the show Friends.
No, I know the show. I think Mike back at you would shoot for Rachel.
Jennifer Aniston.
Similar, Jennifer Aniston, similar styles and personalities. And probably wind up with her. Mike the Fab and myself, I think we would both go for Monica, but end up with Phoebe. And she's kind of I don't want to say the what's the term for the participation trophy? She's sort of the silver medal of bronze medal of the group, but that's not too much of a knock against her or against us. It's just that it just feels like that's where things would land.
Interesting. I feel like that probably would make a lot of people who are into Friends really upset. I bet people love that character.
Well, they can write into our hero De Niro at gmail.com and let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. I feel like this had the makings of a great segment, but I don't think any of us had the information we needed to make it. So, yep.
So back to the movie. De Niro's in bed with his mistress, his guma, as they like to say in the mob, and it's not going well. He can't get it up. So in the middle of the night, Crystal is sleeping in his hotel bed with his. Why are they in a hotel? They're getting married down there. Doesn't she live there? I guess maybe she moved out of her place already. Who knows? Who knows what the situation is?
Well, I think it's really telling here. I think a really telling moment here in the way that you think about your life and the things that you do and the way that you spend money. You would obviously get a hotel room even if you had a home in the city. If you were on like your wedding trip, you would spend the money. They're getting married at this resort. You think you would not spend the extra $2,000 or $3,000 and you would want to commute between your house and the resort for all the activities you have going on that week?
I think he would not spend the extra.
It's like a point in favor of not wanting to get married within driving distance of my home. I honestly, if I'm going to do the whole ball out of control, get a resort room somewhere, I'd probably go, somewhere with nicer weather, like Miami.
Well, yeah, you don't live in Miami.
Yeah, true. Okay, well, whatever. So Crystal is woken up in the middle of the night, very comical stuff, and De Niro basically yells at him in an empty bar. It's like some sort of mob hangout that seems to be open after hours, and he confesses to Crystal that he couldn't get it up last night. So, we're getting into boner discussions, really intimate stuff.
Finally.
Finally, I mean, hey, if you say so, we can get into another new segment I'd like to introduce called Boner Takes.
Hell yeah.
All right. So guys, just a few questions for you here, trying to be sensitive. I know this is a difficult topic. I know we're not getting any younger. So my first question for you too, how often do you fail to get it up these days? And that's Boner Talk. And I guess we'll keep going with this recap.
It's a topic that is obviously heavily stigmatized, hence our complete silence when you ask the question, not wanting to give anything away in either direction. And it's unfortunate that even in the therapeutic room where nothing leaves here, and none of your friends, none of the other guys in the mob will find out if you have this problem or not, it doesn't even get discussed in here. I've had 2,000 discussions in here, and the topic has come up, twice.
Hey, Philip, you a grower or a shower?
Are you thinking about it? What is there to think about?
Yeah, how much longer is your erect penis than your flaccid penis? If it's more than 50% longer, then you're a grower.
Yeah, you think about it in terms of percentage.
Right. Like, I'm a grower.
Yeah.
My erect penis is 3 to 4 times the length of my flaccid penis.
Want to ask me the question, Mike?
I want to hear what Philip has to say. Well, he's the one who's trying to destigmatize talking about boners.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
In the therapy room. Not in the podcast. Well, no, but
you start the journey toward destigmatization here by us having a normal sex positive, body positive conversation about it.
That's true. Fair point. Yeah. I would say grower.
Okay, great. What about you, Mike?
Grower. Wasn't so hard, was it?
I kind of wish I was a shower, honestly. The reason why I feel that way is, I never really felt comfortable streaking. Like I would love to feel good enough about just the way my penis looks, just in its flaccid, unaroused form, to just be the kind of person who was comfortable as a younger man, just taking my pants off and running around like a goofball. I definitely had guy friends who did that when I was in high school and college, who would do that kind of thing occasionally. But I never really felt comfortable. So I do kind of wish I was a shower. It seems like it would be fun.
Yeah, I never streaked, but I'd personally like to reach a level of spiritual enlightenment that's so just transcendent that I exist in a state of perpetual half chub.
Yeah, man, I hope that for you too. I'm not sure though, honestly, I think that might be bad for you, man. Right? I don't know. That can't be good. If you I don't know. We're kind of, I guess, stretching the limits of my knowledge of urology here in this discussion. I have to assume that when you are erect, your blood pressure is increased, right? What is the mechanism by which an erection occurs? How does your penis become engorged with blood? Is there blood flow constricting elsewhere in your body? Do you guys know the answer to this question? What is the physiological process by which an erection happens?
To this is actually a topic that has never been investigated by medicine.
So instead of bringing a therapist on, we should have brought a urologist on for this week's episode.
Yeah. I am guessing just intuitively that when you have an erection, your blood pressure is elevated. It just seems like it would be. So I'm guessing if you were half chub all the time, you'd probably shave 5 or 10 years off your life. You'd have a heart attack actuarially. So that would be rough.
Wow. Yeah, the more you know.
I don't hope that for you, actually.
I think that, we all have jobs that involve a lot of sitting, and having half of one at all times would just involve so much uncomfortable shifting around that it might not.
Yeah. But it's a power move because people would see the bulge, the half bulge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
His clients are going to love that.
But again,
you want your therapist to be a little erect.
Not wearing the tie in there and not having half a bulge.
There you go. He doesn't need to wear a tie. He's slightly erect.
Yeah.
That's his dressing up for work. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So where are we at in this movie? I'm going to try to blaze through this, by the way. So Crystal turns De Niro down, and De Niro's upset about this. De Niro breaks down in tears, and Crystal walks back. He comes back in. Okay, he's willing to work with him. And Crystal says quite reasonably that when he comes home in 2 days after his vacation, that he'll see De Niro exclusively for 2 weeks. Because I guess De Niro doesn't specify why, but he says it's very important that he basically figures all of this out in 2 weeks, which I don't want to speak for guest of the pod, Philip, but I don't think you can do much in 2 weeks. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, of course not.
Yeah, it seems impossible.
Right. Yeah. And part of therapy, because I'm an MSW student who plans on going into this after I graduate, part of therapy, you need to explain to people up front. Most people have misconceptions about how long it takes to be effective. And they'll come in I think I read a study that said people come in assuming it takes 2 to 3 weeks. And it's no, it takes
6 to 12 months.
Right. Yeah. It takes a while to be effective. You can't just talk about shit for 2 hours and then suddenly be fucking cured.
I just love the idea that this middle-aged man has deep-seated psychological problems so serious that they are manifesting as physiological symptoms and panic attacks. And he's like, yeah, 2 weeks. We'll clinch this one. No medication. Talk therapy only. We're going to fix this one in 2 weeks. It's like, yeah, I feel like you mix in a little bit of Xanax. Like you might be able to be in a better spot in a couple weeks, but if you're not going to take a Xanax on the day, like I don't think you're getting through it.
I urge patience with my clients in that, it took 45 years of this problem existing to get you here. You're not going to undo 4 or 5 decades of the problem in a week or two.
Right. Yeah. Totally makes sense.
Have to unravel those things. Yeah.
Yes.
This was the moment, by the way, that I realized it was a comedy.
It wasn't when I told you it was a comedy, like earlier in the film?
It was just a joke, Mike.
Oh, okay. Jesus
Philip
Christ.
laughed. He laughed harder at that joke than he did at the movie.
I laughed at you saying it was a joke, but...
Yeah.
I like this because maybe we can introduce Philip as a permanent third person in the podcast. So I have Mike to laugh at my jokes, and then we have Philip to laugh at Mike's jokes.
I'm laughing at his trademark line, that was a joke.
Yes, Mike is the perennial straight man in our relationship here, but me saying
That's
that
not
was the
true.
joke is the punchline 65% of the time. Like, that's the punchline of the joke, is the fact that I have to say that was a joke.
It's like when Jeb Bush said, please clap. It's like,
exactly,
it's
that's funny.
You had to ask for it.
Yeah.
I'm not the straight man in this podcast relationship. What are you talking about?
No, in those exchanges, you're being the straight man.
Gotcha.
Because you just play it straight. I'm the straight man on the podcast, obviously. But you're assuming my role in those moments. You must think it's funny. You could chuckle a little bit when I say that was supposed to be a joke. It's funny.
Do I strike you as someone who stifles laughter when I'm recording this podcast?
I think that in our relationship, I, in brackets, you're saying you using the pronoun to refer to me. I am not funny is such a it's like one of the 10 commandments of our relationship that, I think that you must constrain laughter sometimes when I say something that's funny, even subconsciously. I know me not being funny is important to you. I understand.
I laugh all the time when we record.
Yeah, that's because I'm really funny. We still haven't gotten a single letter about this, by the way.
Yeah, guys, you got to let us know what you think. We need other opinions here.
We really do.
Philip's not going to take a side.
Oh my God, Philip.
No, it's gonna. He's
Can
gonna
you tell us? Am I funny?
He doesn't want to hurt your feelings.
He's not going to hurt my feelings. I don't care. I don't care that much about being funny.
Picking between my my favorite child here.
You can tell me that I'm not funny, Philip. I'm still gonna have a way overinflated self-image. You're not going to tear me down. You don't need to worry about it. I could use the tearing down, honestly.
You can often be funny.
See? Thank you, Philip.
Yeah. You're good at conceptualizing ideas that could be funny, in an abstract sense.
It's my favorite kind of comedy.
Hey,
I'm kind of like the Jackson Pollock or the Pablo Picasso of jokes. Yep. There's some concepts of a joke here in this conversation. Right in, rheredeniro@gmail.com.
Yes, thank you. So back to the movie. Crystal returns to his hotel room and lies to Kudrow. Like he kind of explains the situation, but doesn't share with her that he's going to be providing therapy to De Niro's character. They go to a knockoff SeaWorld together, and Crystal's there with Lisa Kudrow and his son Michael, and once again the mobsters accost him because De Niro wants to see him again, and they explain that you're on call 24/7 when you're an employee of Paul Vitti, so you don't get any time to yourself when De Niro doesn't want you to. And Crystal tries to be tough about this and is comically thrown into a shark tank. After this, De Niro and Crystal are walking along the beach, and it really made me wish I was in Florida right now hanging out on one of those beaches, but...
We've walked on that beach together.
Yeah, that's true. We went back in the day.
That's what I thought about while we were watching.
One of those boys' trips. I wasn't sure if it was the exact beach, all those Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami
that
beaches
was the
same.
beach. That's Miami Beach, the little, the sort of like island that's off in the Sound there. That's Miami Beach. We've walked on that beach.
Big fan of that beach. bobbing around in the water.
Awesome. Yep.
You a big beach guy, Philip?
I do love the beach. I was thinking my one Miami experience was going down and getting a rental car in Miami to drive to Key West. And I thought what really summed up the city of Miami is that as we were returning the rental car, we drove up through, and at like 9 a.m. on a Sunday, there was someone flying up there in a muscle car at, I don't know, 130 miles per hour, weaving between there. And I just thought, this city is crazy.
Greatest city in America. I love Miami.
Really cool. One of my favorites. I really want to go back. We went there in, I think, February of 2018. So I am due for a visit.
Yeah, I've been a lot. I went a lot when I lived in Florida.
Yeah?
It is an amazing place. I love the Spanish architecture. So cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. Old architecture in America. Yeah. So during this conversation, De Niro, he has like a sixth sense and can tell that he's being spied on by the feds. And he's right. The feds are actually spying on him. So they're being introduced as an antagonist. They go inside of De Niro's hotel suite or whatever, and they talk about De Niro's father. De Niro explains that, you know, his relationship with his father was tense when his dad died. He was like a young hooligan, wannabe mobster, and his dad had a heart attack and died. And Crystal tells De Niro about the Oedipus complex, which De Niro is not happy to hear about. So De Niro and Crystal have a discussion about dream analysis because of some dream that De Niro had. There's an assassination attempt on De Niro's life later on when he's in his hotel suite, but Jelly, his right-hand man, manages to kill the assassin. Well, we actually see De Niro has some, I guess, performance anxiety of a different nature here because he has... They got the assassin's gun. De Niro has his gun pointed at him. He's going to kill the assassin. He's going to shoot him, but he just can't bring himself to do it. So Jelly takes the assassin and throws him out of like the 7-story window of the hotel. And the assassin drops off in the distance within a view of Billy Crystal's wedding ceremony with Lisa Kudrow. Again, it's comical.
I think
comedy.
It's because Paul, at this point in the film, we understand now in retrospect, is starting to actually address the tension between the man he is and the man who he should be, which is what's at the core of his panic attacks, right? Is this disappointment of his father, you know, who will find didn't want him to be in the business. And so I think it's the beginning of our clues as viewers that he's maybe doesn't want to be a violent man. Okay. Maybe he doesn't want to be a killer anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see. I thought it was just because he could only shoot his gun when his dick was hard.
I mean, you know what? There may be a little bit of overlap there, and it's not necessarily causal. It's more, more correlative.
Yeah.
Certainly metaphorical.
Yeah, certainly.
So Crystal is understandably quite upset with De Niro about this whole situation. He says he's packing up and going back to New York, and Kudrow leaves. Crystal quits for like the 5th time. Definitely a recurring, I wouldn't even call it a bit, but just a thing that occurs in this script is that Billy Crystal quits providing therapy for De Niro like 20 times in this film. It's a pretty common refrain. Crystal convinces De Niro to call Primo, the opposing gangster who wants to kill De Niro, and basically share his honest feelings with him. So De Niro calls Primo, and he very awkwardly is trying to share his feelings about how upset he is about the assassination attempts and all of that, but it doesn't go very well, and the call ends with De Niro very, very violently threatening Primo. So it kind of breaks down in the end there. Back home, Crystal is with his son, Michael, and Lisa Kudrow. And when they arrive...
He's got a great name, by the way, his son. We haven't talked about that.
What?
What a name.
Oh, yeah, Michael. It's a great son. One of the best.
Incredible name. Yeah.
He could be a third guest host on this podcast for sure.
Yeah, you could still just call us the Mikes.
One thought on him, and that is I had to look it up because if you had told me that the actor who played him was the same one who played Bobby Bacala Jr., I would have said, oh, okay, I believe you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't
think he looks anything like that kid, actually.
Like.
I think that you're being a little racist towards Italians, honestly. They're just both fat Italian kids.
Not for the first time.
Well, you know, one of Philip's other hot takes is that all kids are the same, which causes a lot of difficulty when he's walking through Target and he ends up leaving with someone else's kids and he has to go back to customer service. It's always a debacle.
Absolutely.
So Crystal returns home with Michael and Lisa Kudrow, and they see that there's like a 10-foot tall water fountain in his front yard. Apparently it was a gift from Robert De Niro, which is an insane gift. But they walk inside and the feds are there. They entered the house and they were waiting for Crystal to arrive. They explain that the big situation that's occurring is that all of the heads of the major crime families are meeting within less than 2 weeks, and they expect it to be a bloodbath. So they want info, any info on the meeting that Crystal might have. Crystal says he doesn't have any, and he asks, what if I don't cooperate? And one of the FBI agents threatens Crystal over this.
The HIPAA violations keep racking themselves up. I did do a little research in this in case the FBI ever came to talk about the various mobsters that I may or may not work with. And the FBI would, of course, need a court order to get information about your client, and certainly can't make that threat. But it made me think of a question for you guys. And that is, what is the stronger code of silence, HIPAA or omerta?
I love this question. I think it's omerta, right? I mean, the consequences for violating HIPAA are professional and in some cases legal, whereas the consequences for violating omerta are mortal. They'll kill you. I mean, listen, I would never violate HIPAA. Let me say that loudly and clearly for the record. But I probably wouldn't do anything that would get me killed, So I don't know. What about you? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I second everything Mike said. The thing about omerta is that it means rewenge.
It means omerta. It means rewenge.
And that could mean your life.
That's what I've heard.
Yep. So you've heard in every other episode of the podcast.
I would and have not violated HIPAA, but I really, really would not violate omerta.
Yeah, I want to protect my kneecaps.
It's a great question. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love my kneecaps. Are you kidding me? When I think about my favorite parts of my body, the kneecaps are unsung heroes. You don't have those, you're in big trouble. That's one of the most important parts of your body that you don't really think about very much.
Yeah, you need your kneecaps to walk your average of 0.75 miles every day.
Exactly. It'd be a lot harder. Let's take a little detour here and let's see how far I've walked today, actually. I'm guessing it's a lot more than 0.75 miles. Today I have walked 2.07 miles.
5.2 for me. I average 6.
It's a little much.
Agree to disagree, bitch. What about you, Philip? You a walker?
Not today, I'm not.
Ooh. Sorry to hear that. So, De Niro's talking to some fellow gangster who... they have a conversation where the gangster basically says, hey, it's not a good idea for you to be talking to a shrink. People are starting to find out about it and no one's comfortable. So you should kill Billy Crystal or else one of us will. And De Niro says that he'll kill anyone who tries to kill Crystal. But this is being recorded by the federales, the feds. Crystal has a dream, which Mike told me was a shot-for-shot recreation of a scene from The Godfather. Which I didn't get because I haven't seen The Godfather yet. I'm waiting until we roll The Godfather 2. So I don't know if you guys have anything to say about this scene because I don't.
Just really very well done.
Yeah, I mean, it was really well done. I just think it's offensive, honestly. It's probably the way religious people feel about blasphemy. I really do feel like that scene is just so serious for me. It looms so large in my mind when I think about not just The Godfather and not just film, but all fiction that I have loved in my life. And so it offended me a little bit. But it was a really good recreation of it. It was a good parody.
That makes sense. That's how I felt from the period of 2000 to 2010 when every music video and TV show would do a parody of Bullet Time from The Matrix.
Right. Similar kind of thing. I agree. It's I don't love The Matrix that much, but
shut the fuck up.
Bullet Time is really cool. That's fucking cringe.
Yeah.
And similarly, that scene is incredibly emotionally affecting. And it's not really funny that Fredo cries about his dad getting shot. It's actually really profound and emotionally affecting.
Spoiler alert, man. Jesus Christ. I just said I hadn't seen it. Gonna get spoiled by my own fucking co-host?
What do you think, Philip?
Yeah, you seem like you want to say something.
Philip's like Mr. John Cazale. He's like his favorite actor. Like, what did you think of the scene?
I believe I have seen 100% of his films, which
there's only 5 of them, so I think you probably
not
have.
saying much, but I think it's part of my film bona fides.
Boner fides.
I've heard it both ways.
I don't have anything further to say. I thought it was well done on how they committed to the shot for shot nature of it.
I am so familiar with The Godfather. I have seen it so many times that I actually knew what it was going to be in the first frame. As soon as the color grading shifted, I knew that's what it was going to be, because the color grading in that scene, that's what makes it work so well, is so orange. Like, it's like the orangest scene ever. And so as soon as the color grading shifted to orange, I was like, oh, we're getting our Godfather segment. Like, here we go.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That is the number one movie you'd want to parody or lampoon in some way.
Yes, definitely. Yep.
So the feds, they're listening in on these recorded De Niro conversations, and they doctor the recordings to make it sound like De Niro is going to kill Billy Crystal. Then they show this to Billy Crystal in order to get his cooperation. So they have him wear a wire, which I don't know what wire technology is like in 2026, but in 1999, it's the classic. You're wearing like a little mini cassette player taped to your body underneath your shirt.
I don't think it was a cassette player, because they were listening to it.
Your transponder,
like, I think
transmitter?
it's just being transmitted. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because they hear the toilet flushing later, which is how they know to go investigate in the restaurant.
Gotcha.
They're listening remotely. Yep.
So the goons, they tell De Niro that Crystal is involved with the feds because they saw them come and go or whatever. So they say like, okay, like, Crystal's going to want to schedule a meeting. He's going to want to meet with you, and it's going to be very predictable and suspicious. And sure enough, Crystal does want to meet with De Niro. So they meet at an Italian restaurant, and Crystal seems very nervous. He's a very bad actor. Well, not Billy Crystal. I mean, his character, Dr. Ben Sobel.
Billy Crystal's an incredible actor.
Yeah, great guy. Previously seen in The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, featured on this here podcast.
It's my favorite character in that film.
Yeah, it was really funny. Crystal is talking to De Niro, and he...
Can we stop for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Because Mike and I talked about this while we were watching last night, Philip. But do you remember what Billy Crystal's role was in The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle?
He was carrying a mattress from town to town. He was a mattress salesman.
Yeah, see? Yeah, that's the funniest thing in that movie.
That is an
incredible joke.
That is a really funny idea for a joke.
Yeah. It's the only thing. It's honestly one of the only things I remember about the film, too. It really, I could almost laugh thinking about it right now, just thinking about it. It's a really funny concept.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, sorry, Mike, go ahead. Yep.
No, sure. Yep. So that scene ends with Crystal freaking out. He goes into the bathroom, and he rips the wire off of his body. And hides it behind the toilet. So he comes back out, and De Niro like rips his shirt open dramatically because he suspects that he's working for the feds, but there's no wire there. So I guess he's fine. I don't know. Meanwhile, Primo tells the goons to finally kill De Niro. He wants it done. So Crystal is confronting De Niro. They go for a drive in De Niro's black Lincoln Town car, and Primo's goons follow. The FBI agents realize that Crystal ditched the wire, and so they go and they find the wire hidden behind the toilet. De Niro and Crystal and his goons, they go to, the water by a bridge in New York City, one of those classic places where you would shoot someone and dump the body in the water. And De Niro holds Crystal at gunpoint. He's going to kill him. They argue, and Crystal asks one last question. What did you order the night your dad was murdered? It turns out that the Italian restaurant where they ate, that's the restaurant where De Niro was with his dad when the assassination happened.
Had you previously already shared that it was an assassination? Did I miss that?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I did. Shit.
Because that's a plot twist. I don't know if you said it, honestly. I could have missed it. Did you say
it? Maybe I should say that right now then.
Possibly in the restaurant?
Well, no, it is said in the restaurant. But did Mike say it in the recap?
Oh, no, I don't think I did.
Okay, yeah, I mean, so you got to reveal that a little bit more artfully. It's like the twist of the film.
Well,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
So before, I think I forgot to mention this a minute ago. Before they arrive at this next to this bridge side location at the base of the bridge, when they're in the restaurant, what inspires Billy Crystal to ditch the wire and stop working for the feds is De Niro shares that his dad didn't actually die of a heart attack; he was murdered.
Not what happened.
What happened?
One of his goons shares it.
Oh, that's right. When De Niro's like taking a pisser on the phone,
right? He's like
that's
away
right.
from the table or something. Yeah. There's a no-noter, by the way.
I watched this 24 hours ago.
I didn't take a single character of notes on this film.
That's true. I can verify. I was there with him in the room. That's the twist, whatever. So they have this heartfelt conversation. De Niro remembers things about the night that his dad was murdered. He breaks down and he apologizes to his dad and he goes to hug Crystal, and then the assassins roll up. There's a crazy shootout. The assassins have like fully automatic weapons, but they don't manage to kill De Niro or Crystal, and Jelly manages to take out the two assassins with a pistol.
We have some of the worst shooting ever in this film.
Stormtrooper level.
I'm not very good with guns. You guys good with guns?
I've never shot a gun.
Never shot a gun.
Philip, okay, I have. I'm not very good. I don't think I'm very bad or anything, but I'm certainly not very good. And I've probably fired between 250 and 500 rounds in my life across maybe 10 or 15 times on gun ranges over the course of my adult life. I am a better shot than every single person in this film. Like it's really strains credulity how few of these professional violent criminals bullets connect with their targets in any of the gunfights.
Maybe you should join the mob.
Yeah, I'd be good. I don't think I have the disposition for it, honestly. Do you guys think you could be mobsters?
I think in a different reality where I grew up in a more rough and tumble like neighborhood in New York City, where that was more culturally normal, I could see myself being swayed by the allure of the mob lifestyle and the code and all of that. But as I am now, no.
Yeah, I'm too into like just relativistic ways of thinking about things and intellectualization, and I think I'm too soft to be a mobster. I just don't think it agrees with my my sort of general disposition.
Delicate sensibilities.
And if I grew up in a different environment, I'd be a totally different person. So like, yeah, I guess if I was a totally different person, maybe I could be. What about you, Philip?
Hard to tell, but I think Mike the Fab, I pretty much am exactly like you in that way.
I wouldn't do well at it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I could do the poker face stuff, and I think that I could be unscrupulous in the way that you'd need to be able to do that kind of work. But I just I don't think I'd succeed in the culture. I think I'd struggle in the culture.
I think I would be an excellent consigliere.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Who doesn't think that, though? We all think we would be good in that.
I think I would be. I'm pretty confident about it, honestly.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
I am too.
Yeah.
So essentially what happens at this point is De Niro's getting ready for the big mob meeting. He feels great. He's excited, whatever. But then he sees a Merrill Lynch commercial that's about like a son reflecting on his relationship with his father, and he breaks down crying. So he's indisposed. He is in no shape to attend this meeting. Crystal and Kudrow are getting married again. And as as they're about to say I do and kiss, Jelly kind of is like hiding behind the priest and says that he has to attend this big mob meeting. So basically, I don't know, this felt really contrived to me, this whole climax, but essentially they say that Billy Crystal has to go to this meeting in Robert De Niro's place and introduce himself as his consigliere and try not to say too much. Like, don't rattle people's cages too much and just try to power through the meeting. And Crystal says something to Jelly like, why don't you go? And Jelly's like, because I'm a moron, so it has to be you. And like, wouldn't a moron who knows the mob lifestyle and culture be infinitely better than some random like Jewish psychiatrist who's like kind of a coward?
Yeah, it's nonsense. I mean, my sense watching this was that Harold Ramis really liked this idea, and that it was like what the film was built around, essentially, was this idea of like a fish out of water, like kind of effete therapist in a mob setting. And the rest of the movie was written around it in a way that reads as totally contrived to me.
What did you think of it, Philip?
It did feel forced, and I kind of felt, and I think I'll talk more about the Crystal De Niro relationship later, but the scene in the junkyard by under the bridge or whatever felt like, to me, where the climax of the movie was or should have been, as far as the actual story being told.
Well, it kind of is, I think, right? Which is part of where the third act of this film kind of falls apart a little bit, because we've already had a hugely suspenseful moment and the emotional climax of the film, which is De Niro crying to Billy Crystal about his realization of just how traumatized he was by his father's death and the circumstances of their relationship at the point of his death and that kind of stuff. And then we have another climax that's just like that to Mike's comment in this discussion just feels like a total contrivance. Like it's very silly. And the third act really drags in this film.
Yeah, I think it's the worst act of the film for sure.
Yep.
Personally, I can only climax once, so I don't know how they're doing it twice here.
Well, I mean, you haven't gone to the same, boner schools that Billy Crystal has gone to, so I suspect he can climax a lot of times with his boner fides.
So this meeting, it's taking place at some decrepit warehouse, abandoned warehouse somewhere in New York City. De Niro has a conversation with his son that inspires him to get his head right, and he decides that he's actually going to go to the meeting after all, which is good timing-wise because Billy Crystal, it's a pretty dragged out bit, but he does like a whole, stereotypical mobster impression, and he talks down to Jelly and smacks him a few times, and he ends up biffing it and inspires everyone. He inspires Primo to pull his gun out and aim it at Crystal, which inspires everyone else to pull their guns out because it's a mob meeting. So as this is happening and Crystal's about to get shot in the head, 360 no-scoped, De Niro dramatically walks in and takes over, and he tells everyone that he wants out of the mob. That is the conclusion that he has reached, which I'm pretty sure they don't let you do. But De Niro, having thought of that, says that he basically wrote a lot of mob secrets down and hid them in a safe deposit box somewhere so that if anything should happen to him or the people he cares about, including Billy Crystal, that would be revealed to, the feds or whatever.
Hey, Mike, you know why they don't let you leave?
Why?
Because of Omerta.
Oh.
It means Rewenge.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, I got to watch The Godfather. Yeah. There's a final confrontation between De Niro and Primo outside, but De Niro predicted all of this too, so he has his goons on his side. They pop up. There's a gunfight, and the feds break up the party. So we get a little epilogue at Sing Sing prison. Billy Crystal is visiting De Niro at prison. Turns out De Niro got 18 months and Primo was killed in the gunfight. Crystal and De Niro are on good terms. They agreed to do private sessions, and the film ends with a scene of Lisa Kudrow and Billy Crystal dancing at night in their backyard, and Tony Bennett is performing for them as a favor for Robert De Niro. That was De Niro's wedding gift to them. And that is how Analyze This ends. Now it's time to move things over to our final ratings. And of course, we're going to start with our wonderful guest, Philip. Philip, what do you give Analyze This?
So I'm going back and forth here. It was, a good film. Writing's quality, filmed well, all of this good stuff. I don't know. I'm not the best at doing this part of the show as you guys are, because I am particularly more interested in the relationship between De Niro and Crystal's characters that was played wonderfully by them. I thought they killed it in their roles. But as far as the film goes, 3.5. I flip a coin for which one I will go with.
This is the point where you talk about that stuff, Philip.
Yeah, and I will. So I was ready to dislike this film. And that is because as a therapist, the representation of therapists in film and TV is usually awful. Maybe my hot take for Hollywood writers is that they're the kind of people who never actually went through therapy, and they're working through all of their trauma via their writing, like comedians on the stage do. So I was prepared to not like this film, and I was surprised that I did. That there were some parts that seemed therapy talk forced, but as a whole, I could see Billy Crystal's character as a legitimate therapist, and I enjoyed the process, the unfolding process of De Niro coming in the way I so often see men come into these situations. I've literally had guys come who thought they had a heart attack, and they went to the hospital, did all the tests, and no, it was a panic attack, and they come in and say, "All right, how can you fix me?" And very often they'll have a session and go, this is uncomfortable, this didn't work, therapy doesn't work, and they'll leave. And so I thought that kind of showed well with De Niro's vacillation, saying, you said I was fixed and not and all that. But the way that they discovered that it was this terrible trauma that happened to De Niro's young character that got suppressed because his culture says that this isn't a thing that we talk about, for Omerta jokes aside, macho
I would never joke about
Italian,
Omerta.
macho Italian mobster culture says you don't talk about your feelings. You drink that down, you go to the Gumar and do whatever. So the unfolding process and how Billy Crystal, how his character got De Niro to come to that point, I thought was really well done. And that's why the scene by the water felt like, and it should have been the climax of the movie, because that's where the emotional moment happened. And De Niro's tears in that scene, his acting, it seemed real. He had some sort of like comical tears early on in the bar scene that was definitely played for laughs.
So what would you give it out of 5?
A 5? Like,
yeah,
3.
Okay,
3 to 5. Pretty good.
Love it. Mike, what about you? What do you give this film?
Yeah, I don't really like this film, honestly.
Wow.
Really.
After all your talk about how much you laughed?
Yep. So here's what I don't like about it.
I can't wait to hear this.
I think that fundamentally, the tension between the actual third act climax of the film, the emotional discussion between Billy Crystal and De Niro on the river, and then the silly second climax of Billy Crystal at the mob meet functions as almost a microcosm for what my issues with this film are, which is that essentially it really struggles to pick a lane, I think, from a tonal perspective, and that works to its detriment. Its subject matter about trauma and paternal disappointment, and to Philip's earlier comments at kind of near the top of the pod, the kind of towering stature of like large men as fathers and the way they loom over their adult children, especially when they share a vocation, as these two men do with their father and erstwhile father, respectively, is such a heady topic. And these two actors are so good that when the film is addressing that stuff, it really works quite well. Like I wanted to feel emotionally affected by De Niro's tears in the river scene, but I just couldn't, because it's juxtaposed with them beating the shit out of some doctor in a fucking hospital, and there are never any consequences to that. They didn't get out of there without being found out, but like the film wants to do both of these things. It wants to be a serious drama that explores heady thematic material in a way that has like these A+ performances on the part of the leads. But then it's really at its core just kind of a goofy slapstick comedy in a way that fundamentally doesn't work for me at all. And I think that it would have worked better for me as a film if I'd just been able to enjoy how much it made me laugh, rather than trying to kind of figure out which of these worlds that I'm being torn between is the one that I should be living in as I experience the film, because the subject matter is interesting, right? The symmetry or lack thereof of Crystal and De Niro on these journeys, kind of in their own worlds, to figure out how to be the kind of men who their father would have wanted them to be truer to themselves, are very interesting. But it's totally unexplored. We never really get anything about Billy Crystal's relationship with his father. It almost felt like it got like pulled on the cutting room floor, essentially, like a deeper exploration of that set of character beats. And so, yeah, overall pretty weak. Didn't love it, but it did make me laugh quite a bit. And so I am going to give it 3 stars.
I'm going to be honest. I was expecting a lower numerical rating there for all of your talk.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Mike? Yep.
Yeah, I think this film is decent. I enjoyed it. more than you did for sure. I just found it very charming, and I didn't have as much of an issue with that tonal dissonance as you did, although I do acknowledge that it's one of the film's flaws. I think it's a clever premise. Obviously, The Sopranos got a lot of mileage out of it, but it's very modest in scope, and it's neither a great crime film nor a great comedy. So it's just somewhere kind of uncomfortably in between. But I think, the biggest asset this film has is De Niro parodying his own kind of gangster image that he had cultivated over the course of his career. And he's so great in this role. He really bumps, when I give my final rating, understand that it is being bumped up an extra half star just because of how much I enjoyed seeing him as Paul Vitti doing permanent De Niro face the entire movie. It was really good stuff. I thought he had great chemistry with Billy Crystal. They carry a lot of the film's momentum, but yeah, the third act drags. I didn't love that, second climax, and there are just some tonal limitations to this idea and balancing the serious emotional therapy drama with the, lampooning of the mobster genre of films. So it feels very of its era. I did find it charming, and I'm going to give it a soft 3.5 out of 5.
I think that's great.
Okay, perfect. I was interested to see how you'd react, and neither of you seem to be paying attention when I finished my.
I'm paying attention.
Much shorter closing feelings than either of you provided.
I listen to people for a living. I'm always paying attention.
Interesting. Did they ever call you out like that?
I never allow it to happen.
And on that note, it's time to make some recommendations. Once again, starting with our guest, Philip, do you have a film you'd like to recommend in addition to or instead of Analyze This?
Yeah, we'll go in addition to. It's perfectly fine film. So I struggled with the recommendation, and I felt an intense amount of pressure with that. Now, I don't really know many Billy Crystal movies, or Harold Ramis for that matter. Every other mob movie has Robert De Niro in it, so I guess I can't really recommend any of the mob movies. I don't feel strongly about many comedies in general. I like laughter, I like stand-up comedy. So where I'm going with this is I'm going to recommend a movie that had clever writing in it that made me laugh, and it's nothing like Analyze This. It is the 1964 classic Mary Poppins. And I did find a way to connect the bridge here.
I'm sorry, Mike, you got me right there with that.
I know.
I'm interested. I'm interested to hear the rationale. It's an interesting pick.
I was inspired by Mike the Fab recommendations in the past, where he's connected these well. And
his bullshit ones.
Have either of you seen this movie, by the way?
When I was a kid, I really don't remember it well.
Yeah, but not since I was a kid. Not in probably 25 years.
Certified classic.
I saw it a couple years ago with my kids.
When she gets a little older. Yeah.
And so the character of Mr. Banks is similar to Paul V. Robert De Niro in that he's a cliche of his type being the English gentleman banker. And like Paul Vitti, he is naively going through life believing that he has it all figured out, that the way things have been done by the men who have done before him is sound and there are no obstacles. And he isn't the protagonist or antagonist of this film, but he does have a character arc, kind of like Vitti's in a sense. The songs are classic, the character's compelling, the effects of mixing animation and live action are ahead of their time, and Mary Poppins herself has big, this better not awaken anything in me energy. And that's how I feel about Mary Poppins.
All right.
You mean like a boner?
Could be.
Like what would it awaken in you?
Well, we would have to find out if it did awaken me, something in me. And
Can you watch it and report back?
I would talk about it with my therapist, of course.
Well, Philip, that's a great recommendation. Thank you for taking us on that journey. Mike, what about you? Do you have a film you'd like to recommend? I don't know, because you said you didn't Analyze This, but you gave it 3 stars. So whatever. Do you have a film you'd like to recommend?
This is a fine film. You can watch it. It certainly made me laugh a lot. I would like to recommend the 1989 Jeremy Chechik film, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. as my recommendation this week for a few different reasons. The principal reason is that I thought it was directed by Harold Ramis. So I was thinking about some other Harold Ramis films, but that's not one of the National Lampoon's films he directed. So that's the first thing that made me look at it. Was like what I thought of when I thought about Harold Ramis, and so that's how I got there. But I think there's really a lot to say about ways that Christmas Vacation and I think just the National Lampoon's films and the character of Clark Griswold are doing something very similar to what this film is trying to do in a better way. And I think it really boils down to what I said, which is just that it's picking a lane. You know, I think that Clark Griswold as a character has characteristics of both Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro's characters in Analyze This. And the film makes a concerted decision to not make this a serious character study of the disaffected upper middle class white middle-aged man. You know, it's just a goofy slapstick comedy, you know, and I find the character of Clark Griswold, as I hope the two of you do as well, tremendously compelling. It's an amazing Chevy Chase performance. He's hilarious in the role. And I just cannot possibly recommend Christmas Vacation more enthusiastically. You guys seen the film? You guys ever seen it?
I've seen it once a few years ago. It's another one that I don't remember well, so I'm definitely due for a rewatch.
It's really good. What about you, Philip?
Have seen it too much. It is our annual get the tree in the house, put it up, put the ornaments on. It's playing in the background. So I say little full, a lot of sap every time. It's all right.
You can't do that every single year with the same movie because you get burned out on it. That's why Philip fucking hates this film now.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta switch it up.
It's like pizza.
Yeah, I don't think that I could ever get tired of pizza, honestly, but sure. What about you, Mike? What would you like to recommend, I assume, in addition to Analyze This?
That's right. I have a really good one this week, and this is for you, Mike. Don't do that fucking thing you do where you look up the film as I'm saying what it is, because I want to tease this out. I deliberately, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna like the rationale.
My hands are in my lap.
That's
okay.
Great.
They are nowhere near my mouse and keyboard.
Perfect. Yep. So I'm recommending the 2005 Harold Ramis film, The Ice Harvest, starring John Cusack. Now, there are a few reasons that I'm making this recommendation. First and foremost...
Do you know who wrote the screenplay for that film, by the way?
Do you know? Why do you know?
Yep.
Have you seen this film?
I have, yep.
You've seen The Ice Harvest?
Yep.
Well, that's the big reveal I was going to make. You son of a bitch. Yep. It's fine. You already saw the film.
That it was written by Richard Russo?
Yes. Okay. Shut the fuck up.
That's why I watched it.
Let me say the thing. Let me say the thing. Okay. Jesus Christ. Just prematurely blowing my load over here. Okay, so it's directed by Harold Ramis. It's this small scale neo-noir, I guess, dramedy, really, starring John Cusack as a crooked lawyer who steals from the mob and wants to get out of Wichita. And it's very bitter, intentionally bleak, but also very funny film. Unlike Analyze This, I mean, both films mix crime and comedy, but Analyze This, I think, finds humor in vulnerability and emotional growth, whereas The Ice Harvest finds its humor in self-loathing and paranoia and just, bad decisions spiraling out of control. So yes, the secret reason I was going to recommend it is because it is co-written by novelist Richard Russo, who we've previously talked about on this podcast and is Mike's favorite author. So Mike, what did you think of the film since you've already seen it?
So I watched it right when it came out, which was 20 years ago.
Oh, Jesus.
And I didn't really like it, honestly. But did you like it? Do you think I should watch it?
I would give it a solid 3 out of 5. So lukewarm recommendation. However, I was watching the film and I was curious about it as I was watching it. So about 15 minutes in, I looked up the Wikipedia page. I saw who wrote it. And for the rest of the film, I just kept thinking about how I would like the film more if it was written, like if it was a Richard Russo novella.
Yep,
and I think that it actually made me appreciate the film more because I could kind of see how it would play out if it was a story that I was reading. But I think it is an interesting little curio from Harold Ramis's filmography that is worth a watch if you find the premise or John Cusack interesting.
Well, I just added it to my watch list and I will watch it again. I think it's a lovely recommendation. And, what I thought about it when I watched it in 2005, I'm trying to think if this would have been, when did it come out? Would it have been when I was in high school or college? So it came out in my freshman year of college. So I would have been a freshman in college, I guess, when I watched it. And I had just finished reading, I think probably about half of Richard Russo's bibliography. And I don't think I had the critical language yet to articulate what you just said. But I can imagine that something like what you just said might have been what I felt. It really just didn't. I could tell that it had his sensibilities as a writer and as a storyteller, but it didn't work for me in the way that something like Straight Man or Empire Falls, kind of his goated classics, Nobody's Fool, really work very well as modern stories about the kind of dark side of American professional life. And yeah, but I'm excited to revisit it based on your recommendation. So yeah, that's a great one. Thanks for resurfacing it.
Hey, you're welcome. And with that, it's time to move into our final segment of the podcast, rolling for next week's film. This week, it's Mike's turn. Mike, what are you hoping for this week?
Do I even need to say? Obviously, Silver Linings Playbook.
Well, you never know if someone is coming into the podcast for the first time. I think it's important that they know, what we're yearning for deep in our hearts.
It really is so true. All right, I am getting ready, and I am going to roll now. We have rolled number 27, which is A Bronx Tale, starring Robert De Niro. Very exciting. I know I've heard of this. I know I've heard of this film, but I can't think of anything about it.
Well, the notable thing about it, the director.
Oh, this was his first film that he directed. I was really struggling to read the first paragraph of the Wikipedia article here. I saw this Jane Rosenthal name, and I was like, is that significant for some reason? Like, there's something about the way the sentence is read. Well, I was going to read it, so everybody was going to find it anyway. A Bronx Tale is a 1993 American coming-of-age crime drama film directed by and starring Robert De Niro in his directorial debut and produced by Jane Rosenthal. I guess it's adapted from a play and tells the coming-of-age story of an Italian-American boy who, after encountering a local mafia boss, is torn between the temptations of organized crime and the values of his honest, hard-working father. Very interesting. Looks like it was a pretty reasonable box office success. Supposed to be a good movie. That's really exciting. That's great. We've already seen The Good Shepherd. Yeah. So seeing the other De Niro directed film that's a really exciting role. That's awesome.
It's a great way to start the year.
Yes, it is. Oh, well, I'm really excited about that. We'll get Silver Linings Playbook next week.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. No, I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be great to watch the other De Niro directed film. Fuck it.
That's a real tongue twister.
Yeah, I think it'll be an exciting one to come back to next week. Philip, as we wind down this podcast episode, how'd you feel about it? What are your closing thoughts before I read us out?
I was just thrilled to be here. I'm happy I got my first one out of the way. I hope I get invited back because it's just a joy to be here.
I thought you were a great guest.
It's always fun to get the diversity of opinions in here, And with that, it's time to end this week's episode. I'd like to take this time to thank Caroline for our wonderful podcast artwork, and of course to all the citizens of De Niro Nation for listening in week and week out. Please email us with any thoughts you have at ourherodeniro@gmail.com, and there's a very strong likelihood we'll read them on air. Please follow Mike and I on Letterboxd at Mike Back At You and Mike the Fab. Philip, would you like people to follow you on Letterboxd?
Oh, I'm Film Logger on there. PHILM Logger. LOGGER. You can see my half-abandoned Tilda Swinton project on there.
Sure. And rate us 5 stars in your podcast app of choice, please. And we'll see you next week for a regular old episode about A Bronx Tale.
Thanks, everybody.